Hello everyone, welcome to today's video where I'll be installing the VR performance intake for the M240i. If you don't care about the install and you only want to hear sound clips, skip to this timestamp right here. So this is the engine bay of the M240i, and the first step in removing the stock intake is by removing the MAF sensor by removing these two screws right here and right in the back. They are T20. So once you've unscrewed those two T20 screws, the MAF sensor should just pull right out. And you can put that off to the side for now, just be a little careful with it. And we can move on to removing this clamp right here. So for this, you can either use a flathead screwdriver or you can use a 6mm socket like I did to loosen this up. Okay, so I loosened this clamp just to make the stock airbox come free. And you want to pull up from this top corner as well as the left-hand side there. There are grommets here and in the back. It will require some force, so just give it a little strong tug. All right, so once you've disconnected this pipe from the stock airbox, it should pull out. It is a little tough. So the next step is to remove this stud right here. Now I'm using a 16mm long socket that should fit right over and undo. So the next step is to remove this pipe right here. Now to do that, you want to look all the way down there and undo that clamp. Now I've heard that is a pain in the ass to do, so let me see how long that takes me. All right, so quick update. This clamp is for some reason a 7mm. The 6mm one that I used for the top clamps did not work, so just a heads up. That is finally off. So what you want to do is use the 7mm socket to loosen this up, and then you want to fit the socket over the clamp, and then you kind of want to just unscrew it by hand. And by that I meant putting the socket over the screw and then using your hand to twist it. That's really all I could do. All right, so this is the fun part. So this is one metal pipe replacing the plastic pipe that was so difficult to get off, that stupid thing. There is the big intake cone and the heat shield, as well as the rubber hose clamp. Now let's get to installing it. All right, so the next step of the install is to put in the silicone hose pipe right back in where the old pipe came out. Now I would recommend installing it in this orientation. That way you can get your screwdrivers in from this direction in order to tighten it. All right, so that heat shield just slips right in, secures on that bottom bolt there. And next up is, I believe, a 10mm, which should connect it right to here. And then you want to put in the rest of the intake pipe. So now the heat shield is attached by that 10mm bolt. And the next step is to insert the intake piping there and then tightening the heat shield. All right, so after way too much time fiddling, I have that hose clamp back on. I've got this 10mm in. I've got the heat shield bolt in there, and I have put on the final hose clamp for the intake cone, and it is all complete. Also, they provided hardware for the MAF sensor. Do not use the T20 torque screws that were in there before. The thread on the intake is different. Now, the only issues I had with the install is the hose clamps they provided were a little weird. They didn't fit too well in my 10mm socket, even though they were supposed to. So I just ended up reusing these stock hose clamps. Now let's start it up, see if it's okay. All right, so everything seems to be running okay, so now it's time to test it out. Oh wow, I can actually hear the turbo. Dude, that's sick. You can hear the turbo at pretty much full throttle. That's fantastic, because you could not before. Dude, that's so cool. Now can I hear it from inside? Oh, I can. Dude, that's Oh, I love that. That's so good. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please subscribe if you enjoyed the content, and I will see you in the next video.